Boom! We're back, and today we're focusing on my favorite no-gi takedowns. Almost any time that I go in for the takedown, I start off in the same way. I go to wrist control, and then I go into an underhook. You'll see that I'm grabbing palm down, and then I'm leading with my shoulder so I can make a quick connection to his shoulder. By using a palm down grip, it is much harder for them to roll their wrists, so they have to stay connected to us. We also need to notice that I'm moving my feet in. I want to stay tight to him, but I don't want my arms to be too long, otherwise he's going to shoot underneath me. The next step is to punch my way through all the way until I can grab onto an underhook and have proper head positioning. By having my head on the inside, he no longer controls the inside space and is going to make my next part of the takedown that much simpler to acquire. Anytime we can grab the underhook, it's very likely they'll use an overhook, so we're going to use this against them to punch into the single leg. Being able to shoot my arm through is identical to throwing a shot put. We want to push extremely hard underneath them, and then we can easily circle our hands together so we can grab onto his leg. An even easier way to picture it is to throw your arm as straight as possible. This would defeat his overhook and his body would be out of position for the next attack. It's also important to remember that I lower my level so I can grab the leg easier, but I'm not going that low to the ground. I only need to lower my head just enough that I can get underneath his arm. Then my backhand is going to touch the leg first, and after the shuck, I can bring my forward hand down to meet the other one and form a strong connection. As for our head, it was just in their chin, and now we want to put it on their chest. I can use this to drive forward for more power, and I'm also not in any danger of guillotines or other neck attacks. In order to finish the takedown, we need to do 3 key points. Step 1 is I have to kick my back leg out of the way. Then I'm going to hike his leg all the way into my armpit. And as long as I'm not the same size as a dwarf, I should be able to push against his shoulder and bring him all the way down to the mat. The power from this takedown requires me to lift his leg high enough that he can't balance for too long. But what do we do if our opponent isn't just going to try and hang on to their head? They're actually going to try hand fighting. With someone taller than you, or if they're more flexible, they're not going to be pushed over so easily. They will be trying to strip your grip off of their leg, and we're going to go to attack the elbow or the shoulder to finish this takedown and end in a different position. It's vital that my hand controlling his ankle is stuck to my chest. I don't want this to be an easy fight for him. We have to remember that we are the aggressor and we're going to be mean to them. By attacking directly at the elbow, it'll completely throw his hand fighting out of the picture, and we can crowd them to go right into the referee's position. If you're really sadistic, you could throw in a calf slicer, but that's for another time. Maybe you love to throw people around, and body locks are more your style. The beautiful thing is that we can use the same underhook setup, but now we're going to be touching their ribs and going straight into the body lock, and we can dump them to the ground in a dominant fashion. Just like before, we want to have that strong head positioning and use the underhook, but now our left hand is going to cup the ribs. We don't want them to escape, so this part is extremely necessary. We shuck the arm in the same way as before, but now we can go right into the body lock, bring our leg in front of their knee, then we can lift them for the takedown. As long as there isn't a humongous weight difference between the two of you, cupping their ribs should be pretty easy to go across their waistline and even easier to establish the grip. Now to finish the takedown, we have a few more steps. I need to first shuffle my weight and block his knee so he can't use this to post, lift him by squatting, then dump him to the ground nicely enough so they won't injure themselves, but that we prove our point. As I go to block the knee, I want to shuffle my grip to his far side ribs. This will be extremely good for you, but very bad for them. It's painful, you won't make any friends, but it is very effective. With someone who's wrestled a day in their life, however, they're going to spread their hips out far and the slam isn't going to be as easy. We can use this to transition to other shots, the first one being a double leg, and the second one being a single leg. Being able to chain wrestle is going to turn you into a real wrestler instead of just a Jiu Jitsu wrestler. Just like in Jiu Jitsu, your first technique probably won't work, so we need to combine techniques to make it better. As his hips start to make enough distance, I change my level, scoop into the single, and this time I'm finishing with my head on the outside. This technique is called a crackdown, and it can be dangerous if you have really bad guillotine defense. However, if you're quick at changing your momentum, first in the body lock and then to the shot, it's going to be very hard for them to hang on to you. Ultimately, I prefer the double leg. It has so much power, and when done right, there's no submission that's going to stop you from driving your opponent over. After I change my level, I want to keep my head high on the outside of their ribs. It may seem questionable because you feel like you will get guillotined, but your head is going to help you drive the shot just as much as your legs are. You will notice that I'm never locking my hands together. My goal isn't to pick them up, my goal is to run through them. If I'm wasting time locking my hands up, I'm also giving them time to go for the submission. Lat drops are my favorite way to finish a takedown and also the most stylish. I'm well aware that everybody has a different athletic level, so I've named this one the baby lat drop. It's a lot easier to finish, but it is there all the time when people are tying up. This version is also very safe for your partner, so people will enjoy that. It's no secret that the over-under position is extremely popular. Standing pummeling drills are done all the time, and that's so you can get to a better position, and so you won't end up like Zach. When I'm in the over-under and I'm Gable gripping on his back, I want to transition my elbow so I can completely destroy his underhook. This is done by pinching his elbow in. The stronger bite I have over his elbow, the lower his underhook is going to be. And in turn, we completely eliminate one of his posts. The next step in this beautiful takedown is the feet positioning. Just like before when I had to lift him, I wanted to block his knee. I'm blocking his knee here as well, but from a different angle. This movement is called a pendulum step. It's when I move both my feet at the same time. This is done so our opponent can't shift their weight to counter my movement. My left knee is shifting to the back of his knee and my right knee is covering the front. This is very important when we fall down because I don't want him to have any available leg to stand on. Once we have destroyed his underhook and our legs are in the correct position, this is when the fun begins. I'm going to dip my butt down for a squat, use my right underhook to guide the throw, then I'm going to bring him back over his leg, and then I'm going to land all the way into side control, completely destroying his guard. The higher I can jack my right hand up for the underhook, the better the throw. Even if I somehow mess it all up and I pull him on top of me, my underhook will give me enough strength that I can continue to turn, and I should wind up in the side control. Most people see throws and they think they're pretty challenging, but trust me, this isn't one of them. As long as you can beat their over-under, you have a strong underhook, and you can fall backwards, this should be for you. With all the guard pulling that you see in Jiu Jitsu, I know people are used to falling on their butt, so you might as well get some points and wind up in side control when you can. Hopefully these takedowns will help with your no-gi game, but if they don't, I've got you covered. If you want to feel like you're getting better at wrestling but without actually doing any of the work, make sure to check out xmartial.com. They have stylish rash guards that will improve your Jiu Jitsu game, including your wrestling and your guillotines, and I'm living proof of it. On the flip side, if you get tossed a lot like my partner did, even though he's wearing X Martial, at least you'll look stylish when you're getting beat up. Who can beat that?